Ukraine is pressing Europe to release billions in frozen Russian assets as the country faces a growing financial and military crisis. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has made clear that these funds, currently held across European banks, are crucial to cover urgent needs, including the purchase of weapons and support for reconstruction. Zelenskyy outlined that Ukraine expects to receive a total of 210 billion euros over several years, with around 40 to 45 billion euros potentially available in 2026. However, he stressed that even this massive sum will not be enough to cover the devastation caused by Russia's invasion, which he says amounts to losses 3 times higher than the frozen funds.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister, dear Diko, thank you so much. And Honorable President Sandu Maya, dear Secretary General Ubersia, thank you very much for this invitation, and thank you very much for everything, for your support, dear friends, ministers. First of all, I want to thank your peoples, your leaders, your people. It is very important that throughout all these years of this war, your peoples have been with us. Thank you very much for this. Thank you to your people, for all this support for us, for Ukraine, for our people, and for our children. Support for our right to defend ourselves in every sense of the word. Not only the right to physical protection as an independent state against external aggression, but also the right to live a normal life, safely, just as everyone in Europe or in any other part of the world deserves. Today, and indeed throughout this entire year, many significant things are actively being created for Ukraine, developments that truly should have been initiated and started a very long time ago. At least in 2014. But in reality, in fact, considering how many wars Russia has started or supported, this should have happened even earlier. Europe has a very long, extensive history of wars, and it cannot afford to treat this lightly. All pressure on Russia must continue as long as the occupation of our land continues. Russia must feel that it is a criminal. To face the consequences for this, as long as our people remain in Russian captivity, and as long as the Ukrainian children abducted by Russia are not returned home, sanctions must restrict Russia until it begins to show respect for peaceful life and for the rights of its neighbors. And of course, every Russian war crime must have consequences. Consequences for those who committed them. We hope that the Tribunal for Russian Aggression will truly begin to work, not only for us, but for everyone who wants peace in Europe. We profoundly expect that every single compensation mechanism, ranging from the comprehensive registry of damages and the various claims commissions to the actual tangible payments themselves, will indeed begin to fully function and subsequently receive strong, robust, and proper international support, so that all affected people can truly and genuinely feel that any and every kind of profound harm or significant damage caused by the ongoing war can be adequately and fairly compensated. This brutal war and Russia's undeniable responsibility for it must serve as a very clear and compelling example, so that other nations learn not to choose aggression. Thank you very much. Glory to Ukraine.
Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has warned that EU leaders, including Ursula von der Leyen and Kaja Kallas, will be held accountable for what Moscow calls the illegal seizure of Russian assets.
We see that the support of the Kiev regime by Europe includes the robbery, the planned robbery by the European Union of the Russian assets. They are planning to confiscate the sovereign assets, the currency reserves of the Russian Federation. The representatives of the West, the Prime Minister of Belgium, the leadership of the European Reconstruction and Development Bank, and the International Monetary Fund are warning the Brussels bureaucracy against these reckless actions. But we will see whether this will have any effect on the political figures like Ursula von der Leyen or Kaja Kallas, whose diplomacy is very blatant and open they must understand that they will be kept responsible for such actions.
The issue has sparked complex negotiations within the European Union. While some countries support releasing the funds, others, like Belgium, are demanding additional legal guarantees before approving any payments. Meanwhile, Denmark has announced it will significantly reduce military support to Ukraine in 2026, increasing pressure on the use of frozen Russian assets.
Today is all about justice, because without it, there can be no just and lasting peace. But justice doesn't just follow automatically. We need to lay the groundwork and prepare as carefully as possible. Today, we are taking the next step. We have launched the International Claims Commission for Ukraine, which will deal with compensation for damage inflicted during the war. Every day in Ukraine, Russia is deliberately bombarding homes, destroying businesses, and damaging infrastructure. And there must be no impunity.
The Council of Europe has no drones, no missiles, but it has the force of the law, international law that applies to all, no exceptions, no double standards. And our task is clear: to record the truth, to provide redress, and to hold those responsible to account. Justice takes time, but it must happen, and the International Claims Commission for Ukraine leads the way.
The front line is not only in Ukraine, it is wherever Europeans expect safety, stability, and normality and begin to lose them. This moment is about Ukraine, but it is also about whether free and sovereign nations in Europe can protect their people from evil and harm, whether we, Europeans, can hold together in solidarity to defend our way of life, our democracies, and our peace. This is why the convention we signed today, establishing the International Claims Commission for Ukraine, matters.